Hello. So just wanted to talk about the rig, talk about the entire setup, and what I've been able to build with a lot of parts that I had laying around, that just stuff that I had purchased for other things that weren't being used, or just by some sort of luck. Friends of mine gave them to me, and even right down to a custom built piece, and just some like custom things that I had to do to the chair to get some things on it, some things that you actually can't see right now. But for starters, the main screen here, and the reason I'm going into this is just because I want to show people that as cool as I think that this looks, there really is not that much of an investment in terms of what you see visually. So again, the screen, just a really basic screen from Best Buy. I really did not need anything super high end because I run with the Oculus, the new Oculus Rift. So I really did not need high end display. If one day, for whatever reason, I decide that I want to start racing outside of the Rift, then we'll consider those options and see what's available. The cool thing about what's going on right now is that I really just only have a folder window open here on the computer, and the folder window itself is white, so this is kind of where I can put in my knowledge of photography and video that I've learned over time. This kind of, it's a white light right now that's hitting my face, so if I look at the live view, I can have a decent exposure. So for somebody like me that works in the business of creating visuals, it's super important for me to be able to make sure that even this looks good, just because it's pleasing to me. So from there, we've got the side monitors, and this side monitor here, it's just running OBS right now, just so that I can have my live view preview and the recording, and also for streaming. And then it goes down into the iPad. So the OBS is just pulling the display capture from the iPad, and from there it goes back and forth to both. I can change from recording streaming setup, and then I can also have full telemetry, live telemetry or review telemetry from different laps on this monitor. And then over here I'll have the dashboard where if I am in the pits, it'll just give me standings, it'll give me laps, some telemetry, what's going on track, kind of weather conditions and stuff that's going on track. And when it goes into the race, it just defaults to the dashboard of the car that I'm in. So kind of a cool thing to have here as well. And the cool thing is that when you're done with the race, instead of having to go and click to see the results, you can just take off your headset and see results immediately here on the screen. Coming back, it's the Fanatec shifter. Currently, I just have it set mainly to sequential because of the cars that I'm driving. I've been playing around a lot in the rough GT3 and the sequential car. It's just always easier just for me to have this set up ready to go. It's actually mapped on some of the other cars. It's mapped for different functions, so that also helps me. And then just a flip of a switch and it's into the full H pattern gearbox and back to sequential. Keyboard, just got this mouse recently. I was using this keyboard for a while and it just wasn't working out very well. The trackpad, it's small and it just doesn't work as well as I hoped it would. So I just ended up getting this Logitech mouse here with the wheel. I think it's easier for just navigating menus and stuff when I'm just sitting here. It's kind of confined here, so I just needed something that was a little easier. And it's also using mapped buttons for just different controls on OBS right now, actually. This side, just the Rift, just another gaming headphone that I've had for quite a while. When I started on the PS4, that's what I was using. So this whole thing started on a PlayStation 4, playing Gran Turismo Sport with a very good friend of mine. and that's definitely one of the points where everything started to grow. The chair itself, it's the play seat F1 in red. I waited probably a good year and a half before I decided to go ahead and buy the chair. There was a lot of other options that I could have gone with, but I know that just the type of person that I am, I really just wanted something red, something that resembled Formula One and Ferrari. And I think that I was able to achieve that. It was a good year and a half of building my business at the same time, so it was a lot of work just to be able to get this in here. Right now, wheel and pedals are the TGT, the Thrustmaster TGT. This is the original wheel that comes with it, and I'm using this wheel right now for the 911 Cup and the Rough GT3. There's also the F1 Ferrari add-on. It's a nice wheel. It's not a high-end wheel by any means. I mean, you can clearly tell that it's a lot of plastic. Nothing crazy. It does work fantastically well. All the buttons are mapped for different functions in game. So the wheel itself does the job that it's supposed to do. But I think visually, they could have done maybe a little bit more. And I have, 5 buttons here. It would actually be nice to be able to have this as an actual button and have it be able to be mapped to something, because I think that the more buttons you have, the more stuff you can map, and the easier things become when you're trying to create a workflow that just is extremely efficient. Up here is a microphone, and the microphone is an old microphone that I had from my drum equipment, from recording my drum set, and that's just hooked up into an interface, cheap, I think it was like a $35 Amazon interface, and that's just capturing all the audio. The screens over here, so this screen over here was something that I had, and believe it or not, this screen and the arm that it's on, that was my entire sim setup with a Logitech G920 and a G29 for the Xbox. So back when I started setting this up, that's what it was. And then the iPad was something that I've had, I don't even know how many years now, 2 years, 2.5 years, and it somehow just became something that ended up just sitting there. So glad that this was put to good use. The mount that it's on is also about 3 years old. I use this mount a lot when I'm out doing photography stuff, if I need to mount the iPad. And this whole thing is pretty modular, so if I need to mount the GoPro, if I need to mount another camera, or whatever it is that I need to mount. This was originally purchased when I was doing my flight training. So I had this already kind of just here laying around. Wasn't being used, so I'm super excited that this ended up being used. The mount itself, very fortunate that a friend of mine, just gave this to me. He had it laying around and it wasn't being used, so thanks to him for doing that. And then below, what you don't see was one of the most recent additions was the butt kicker, and that was drilled into the seat. Not the nicest feeling in the world having to drill into the seat, but I'm glad I did it. It's a much better feel. It's a solid mount, and it's definitely helped my immersion significantly. And then I think the last bit of this entire project, which was, I think what kicked off the entire project, was this amazing PC that one of my best friends built for me. And the PC was built originally for my business, for photography and video, and just being able to have something that would get my workflow to go a little bit faster. It ended up being that my workflow for my business is so Apple intensive that I had to go back to an Apple computer, and the computer sat for a good month and a half. Contemplated selling it, and even had an offer, and I am extremely happy that I kept that around, just because I ended up almost creating this huge life change for myself that came from it. Once iRacing was put on that, and once this entire thing started getting built out, I saw a lot of things starting to make sense, and I think that's why I'm now putting it on camera, putting it out there, and just again, like what I said in my last video, just trying to share it with as many people as possible, trying to connect with as many people as possible, and that's really about it for the rig. If you have any questions, if I'm lucky enough to get your view out of this video, and if you have any questions or anything, leave it down in the comments, and I will see you again soon. I'm going to be doing some driving videos that I'll be putting up, and see you later.